Rena never imagined one embarrassing moment would change her entire life. Not the day she spilled hot coffee all over the counter. Not the day she mixed up someone's order so badly that a grumpy trucker threatened to write a letter to corporate headquarters, even though the diner didn't have one. And certainly not the day a stranger walked in carrying nothing but a dusty backpack and a quiet, unreadable smile. If someone froze that moment in time, Rena standing stiff as a lamppost, eyes wide, with disbelief, it would become the kind of picture people looked at and asked, what on earth happened to her? And the truth was simple. Sometimes, your biggest blessings walk in disguised as your worst mistakes. Have you ever had a day where everything goes wrong before breakfast? Where you're running so low on patience that one more inconvenience feels like an act of war? Where you judge someone before they say a single word simply because you're tired? Yeah, Rena knows that feeling intimately. Let's give you a glimpse of her morning. Chapter 1. She drops a tray. Ludo, the cook, screams at the toaster for burning his 17th batch of bread. A customer asks if refills on air are free. It's that kind of day. And then, because the universe has a sense of humor, a traveler shows up. Dusty boots, sun-beaten backpack, hair that says, I haven't slept in a real bed in a while, and an expression so calm it instantly irritated Rena, who had not felt calm since last Tuesday. She thought he'd order a single cup of water. She thought he'd sit there all day using the Wi-Fi for free. She thought, oh great, one more problem on a day full of problems. But what Rena didn't know was that the stranger was watching everything quietly, absorbing every detail, and carrying a secret bigger than she could imagine. A secret he came here to reveal. Not yet, but soon. Good morning, Rena said, her voice carrying that tight, forced cheerfulness required of customer service workers everywhere. The stranger slid into a booth by the window. He didn't look up right away. Instead, he rested his backpack beside him and exhaled a slow breath that hinted at exhaustion, but not defeat. Rena tightened her ponytail. Half of her wanted to be kind. The other half was tired of being burned. Just so you know, she began carefully, we have a minimum order to sit at a table. We, had issues with people hanging around without buying anything. The stranger finally looked at her, his eyes warm and surprisingly gentle. Oh, no worries, he said. I plan to order something meaningful. Meaningful? She raised an eyebrow. Tourists usually ordered fries and space. Well, she said cautiously, as long as you can, you know, pay for it. The second the words left her mouth, she regretted how harsh they sounded. He didn't look offended, just amused, almost like he was watching her more than listening. I'll be all right, he replied. But I appreciate your honesty. Rena blinked. Was he teasing her? No. His voice was too soft, too sincere. She nodded, arms crossed as she walked away, muttering to herself, great, backpacking philosopher guy. Ludo peeked out from the kitchen window. Hey, that man has an aura, a tourist aura. I don't trust it. You don't trust Toast, Rena shot back. That's because Toast lies, Ludo whispered dramatically. It had been a long month, longer than long, somewhere between exhausting and emotionally draining. Her mother's medical bills loomed over her. Rena worked double shifts, triple shifts, any shift she could get. She had dreams, a small art studio for kids who needed an outlet, but that dream lived somewhere far away, buried beneath overdue notices and grocery lists. She wasn't rude because she wanted to be. She was rude because kindness had been stretched thin, and that's what the stranger saw. He watched her refill coffees with a forced smile. He watched her wipe tables while murmuring encouragement to herself. He watched her comfort an elderly woman who spilled her soup. He watched the way she helped a toddler pick up crayons, despite having zero time for it. And through it all, he stayed quiet, gently observing, not judging, not irritated, just understanding. When Rena brought him his coffee, he noticed her wrist was slightly swollen. Are you okay? He asked. Fine, she lied. Just the longest morning. He nodded slowly, respectfully. Do you like working here? She paused. A simple question, but the weight behind it made her think. It's not my dream, she admitted, but it's honest work, and it keeps the lights on. What is your dream? He asked. She blinked, taken aback. Dreams weren't something she talked about. Dreams were luxuries. After a moment, she replied, I want to open an art studio, a place for kids to paint, draw, feel safe. When life is hard, art gives you a place to breathe. Her voice softened as she spoke, almost like the idea itself comforted her. That's a wonderful dream, the stranger said. And he meant it. Rena laughed lightly, brushing it off. Dreams don't pay bills. They inspire people, he replied. That's worth more than most realize. Something in his voice, steady, encouraging, made her chest warm. But she shut it down quickly. He was a stranger with dust-covered boots, and maybe enough money for a sandwich. She was a waitress trying to survive. This conversation was going nowhere. Just as Rena began to feel a sliver of peace, the diner office door swung open so violently it slapped the wall behind it. Harlan stumbled out, red-faced, sweating, clutching paperwork like it had personally offended him. He shouted across the diner, "Payroll issues, again. I swear this place is sucking me dry." Customers looked up awkwardly. Maddie ducked behind the pie counter. Ludo yelled, "I told you it was the toaster. The toaster has vengeance." Rena sighed through her nose. "Please, not today." Corvin, the stranger, watched quietly. Rena moved closer to him and whispered, "Sorry you had to witness that. Things get rough around here." "You're the one dealing with the rough part," he said gently. "You deserve better support." His voice carried genuine concern, something she hadn't heard in a long time. Her heart tripped a little, and then their eyes met, just for a moment. Soft, unexpected connection blooming between them like a spark trying to survive wind. Rena glanced away, cheeks warming. "Anyway," she murmured, "I should go. Tables don't wipe themselves. That would be a great invention," he teased softly. Despite herself, she smiled. Later that day, the sun spilled warm gold across the small town of Willowbrook. Rena stepped out of the diner, stretching her sore arms and feeling the weight of the day settle onto her like a heavy coat. "Long day?" a familiar voice asked. She turned to see him standing by the lamppost, his backpack slung over one shoulder, his hair catching the sunlight in a way that made him look warmer than he had earlier. "You walking home?" he asked. "Just a few blocks," she replied. "Air helps me clear my head. Would you mind if I walked with you?" he asked softly. "Only if you're comfortable with that." Her first instinct was to say no, but something about him made her pause. He didn't feel threatening. He didn't feel pushy. He felt like someone who listened, so she nodded. They walked side by side, steps sinking naturally. They talked about childhood memories, fears, small joys. There were awkward moments, like when Rena's left shoe let out a loud squeak every third step. He tried not to laugh. She rolled her eyes and said, "It's not my shoe squeaking, it's my soul." He laughed, a soft, warm sound that eased her tension. Neither knew it yet, but this was the beginning of something neither expected. Something gentle, something real, something that would change everything. Chapter 2. The next morning, Willowbrook woke up slowly. Sunlight pushed through the blinds of Harbour Grill, warming the diner's black and white tile floors, and the scent of frying butter drifted through the early air like a welcome invitation. But Rena wasn't feeling invited. She stood behind the counter, holding a cup of coffee that she intended to drink, but instead used as a hand warmer for moral support. Her hair was pinned up in an emergency bun, meaning she twisted it up in 6 seconds and hoped gravity didn't betray her. Ludo burst out of the kitchen, wearing his apron like a cape. "The grill is angry today," he declared. "It burned 3 pancakes in one spot." "One spot, Rena. It is conspiring." "The grill isn't alive, Ludo," she said flatly. "That's what it wants you to think." Maddie slid past them with a tray. Rena, that tourist guy? He's back." Rena froze mid-sip. Her body reacted before her brain did. He is? She croaked. Maddie smirked. You sound excited. I'm not excited, Rena snapped. I'm surprised. Surprised is normal. Excited is not what I am. You're totally excited, Maddie hummed. Sure enough, there he was, Corvin, sitting in the same booth as yesterday. Same dusty backpack, same calm expression. But today, something was different. He looked more refreshed, almost purposeful. Rena approached with her notepad, though she didn't need it. He'd probably order something meaningful again, whatever that meant. Morning, she said. Back again? His smile was easy. Couldn't resist the atmosphere. That's suspicious, she replied. He laughed under his breath, and that sound made Rena both irritated and strangely warm inside. What can I get you? She asked. Well, he said, looking at the menu with exaggerated seriousness, I'm between the very burnt toast and the hope this isn't cold special. Rena squinted. Those are not real menu items. They should be, he replied. Very accurate for yesterday. She couldn't help the small smirk that slipped out. We have better food today. Do you? He teased. Hopefully. She took a breath. So, the usual. Coffee and something meaningful. Yes, he said. But today, I'll make it easy for you. Pancakes? Rena blinked. Pancakes meant he wasn't broke. Pancakes were a real breakfast, not survival food. She wrote the order down. Coming right up. While Ludo prepared the pancakes, dramatically flipping each one like he was, competing in the Pancake Olympics, Rena overheard voices near the office. Specifically, Harlan's voice. What do you mean the new owner is visiting soon? You said he was staying silent. Harlan hissed into the phone. Rena froze. The new owner? She thought the diner was barely holding on. Why would a new owner be interested in this place? Harlan continued, pacing. No, don't send anyone. Just give me time. I can get the staff under control. It's just been chaotic with short shifts and… What? No, don't tell him about the budget issue. Rena exchanged looks with Maddie, who mouthed, What budget issue? They leaned closer, pretending to organize ketchup bottles, the universal disguise for, we're eavesdropping. Harlan ended the call and stormed back into the kitchen, shouting something about people sabotaging his dreams. Rena whispered, If anyone's sabotaging this place, it's definitely him. Maddie nodded. He once tried to microwave soup in a metal bowl. Yeah, that tracks. But the conversation stuck in Rena's mind. A new owner? Coming soon? Why hadn't they been told? Why was Harlan panicking like he'd been hiding something? Something felt off. Very off. Back at the booth, Corvin watched everything quietly. He didn't miss the rising tension. He didn't miss Harlan's frantic behavior. He didn't miss Rena looking tired, stressed, and oddly determined. When she returned with his pancakes, he smiled. These look amazing. Thank Ludo, she said. He threatened the grill this morning. Corvin laughed. Is that normal? Sadly, yes. As he began to eat, Rena stood for a moment, the words bubbling inside her faster than she could stop them. Do you ever wonder if you're working way too hard for people who don't appreciate it? She blurted. Corvin looked up slowly. Every day. She sighed. Sometimes I think I'm invisible to this place, except when something goes wrong. Then suddenly I'm front and center. He studied her carefully. Too carefully. She sensed it. What? Do I have syrup on my face? No, he said softly. You just deserve better than feeling invisible. His voice held something deep and sincere that made her heartbeat catch. Rena quickly changed the subject. Emotions were dangerous territory. She preferred sarcasm. Anyway, your pancakes won't eat themselves. I appreciate the reminder, Corvin replied with a grin. Just when the moment settled into something comfortable, Ludo clanged a spoon against a pot. Attention, staff, he declared. The grill has calmed. Repeat, the grill has calmed. We may now resume pancake peace. Everyone ignored him. Except Corvin. He gave Ludo a respectful nod. Ludo puffed with pride. Rena muttered, "Please don't encourage him." Later in the morning, an elderly couple struggled with their check. The husband insisted he left his wallet at home. The wife insisted he absolutely did not. Rena handled it with grace, offering to hold their check until the husband returned. She even gave them free muffins while they waited. Corvin watched quietly. When Rena walked past his booth, he asked, "Do situations like that happen often?" "Oh, yeah," she sighed. "People forget wallets, lose cards, panic over totals. It's part of the job." "I see," he said thoughtfully. "And does the diner have a policy for these situations?" Rena narrowed her eyes. "What are you, some kind of restaurant auditor?" "Maybe," he teased. She snorted. "This place is held together with duct tape and emotional resilience. We don't have policies. We have survival instincts." Corvin grinned. "I admire that." But Rena couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't asking out of curiosity. He was asking out of knowledge. Near lunchtime, business picked up. Rena juggled 3 tables, refilled coffee for a trucker, who said "hit me again" like it was a poker game, and listened to Ludo dramatically narrate his cooking like a cooking show host. Watch as the pancake flips with grace, beautiful grace. Something Harlan will never achieve in his life. Rena snickered. The stranger overheard and smiled. But the atmosphere tensed when Harlan stormed out again. "I want this place spotless. The new owner could appear any day." Maddie whispered to Rena. "Did he just say any day? What if it's today? What if it's now? What if it's—" "Maddie," Rena interrupted. "You need decaf." She turned back to Corvin's table and found him observing Harlan's meltdown with cool, unreadable focus. Not fear, not confusion, just certainty, like he already knew everything happening. Like none of this surprised him at all. As Rena cleared a table, Corvin stood to help her gather plates. "You don't have to do that," she said. "I want to," he replied gently. He reached for the cutlery, but grabbed too many forks at once. They scattered everywhere, clattering loudly. The entire diner paused. Forks sparkled across the floor like modern art. Rena stared. Corvin stared. Ludo gasped as if someone had spilled precious diamonds. Finally, Rena said, "Corvin, this is a fork-free zone." He burst out laughing. She did too. Even the customers chuckled. And for a second, the whole stressful day felt lighter. Later, she overheard Corvin asking Ludo, "What's the monthly revenue for Breakfast Rush usually?" Ludo blinked. Enough to keep us from turning into a smoothie bar." Corvin nodded like the answer made perfect sense. Rena froze. What traveler asks about revenue? She stepped closer. "Why are you asking that?" Corvin smiled innocently. "Oh, just curious." Her eyes narrowed. He looked too comfortable, too observant, too involved. Something was definitely off about this man, but she couldn't place it. Not yet. Chapter 3. The sun poured through the windows of Harbor Grill, painting the diner in soft gold. The blue and white striped awning swayed outside, and inside, the morning rush sounded like a small orchestra. Clinking plates, sizzling pans, and the low hum of tired customers needing coffee more than oxygen. Rena stood behind the counter with a clipboard in one hand and a pen stuck behind her ear, like she'd been born in that position. She was still getting used to the title manager. It looked good on paper. It sounded impressive out loud. But in real life, why does this schedule look like a puzzle from a brain training app? She muttered, squinting at the shift chart. Across the counter, the cook, an older guy named Milo with a calm face and chaotic apron, peeked over. "You put Kiki on mornings 3 days in a row," he pointed out, flipping a pancake. "She has night classes, remember?" Rena groaned. "I knew that. My brain just temporarily left the chat." "Invite it back," Milo said dryly. "We open in 5 minutes." At another table, Kiki, the youngest waitress on staff, called out, "Rena, do we still comp coffee for seniors? The gentleman at table 2 is trying to convince me he's emotionally a senior citizen." Rena looked up to see a middle-aged man dramatically clutching his back like he just aged 20 years. "Nice try, Randall," she called. "You're getting regular coffee at a regular price." He snapped his fingers. Can't blame a man for trying. The small crowd laughed. Rena smiled, feeling that familiar warmth she loved about the diner. It was messy, loud, and imperfect, but it was hers now. Well, hers and Corvin's. And speaking of Corvin, the bell above the door chimed, and in he walked. No dusty backpack today. Instead, a simple button-up shirt with rolled sleeves, clean jeans, and that same calm, thoughtful presence that made people trust him without even knowing why. He caught Rena's eye across the room and gave a small private smile. Not "we're co-workers" smile. Not "I own this place" smile. More like "I'm really glad you're here" smile. Her heart did a tiny flip. She looked away quickly, pretending to be deeply in love with the coffee machine. "Morning, boss," Milo said. "We're only mildly falling apart today. Progress." "Good," Corvin replied. Mild chaos is the sweet spot. Corvin leaned on the counter as Rena scribbled notes on her clipboard. "How's the new manager doing?" he asked. "Depends," she replied. "Are you asking as my boss or as the guy who keeps walking me home and pretending it's for safety?" He chuckled. "As your boss, I'd say you're doing great. As the guy who walks you home, I'd say you're underselling yourself." Her cheeks warmed. "Flattery won't fix the schedule." He glanced at it. "You accidentally scheduled yourself for a double shift on a day you're supposed to take your mom to the clinic." Rena froze. "I did what?" He pointed at the paper, and her shoulders slumped. "I'm a disaster," she groaned. "I'm going to get fired by myself." "I'd like to see you try," Corvin replied gently. "We'll adjust it. Take a breath, okay?" He said it in that soft tone that made her feel like the world wasn't collapsing as much as her brain insisted it was. Rena took a deep breath. "Okay. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Totally fine." Behind them, a stack of cups decided to leap to their doom, crashing to the floor. Milo didn't even turn around. "You keep saying that. It gets less convincing every time." By late morning, the diner was packed. Word of Harbor Grill's new energy had spread through Willowbrook. Some people came for the food, some came for the cozy vibe, and some came for the gossip. At a corner table, two town regulars, Inez and Laurel, settled into a booth with their coffee. "Did you hear?" Laurel whispered, though it was absolutely not a whisper. "About Rena and the new owner?" Inez raised an eyebrow. "You mean the backpack guy who turned out to be a millionaire? That story alone is better than anything on TV." Laurel leaned in. "My cousin's friend said she saw them walking together at night, laughing. Close. You know," Inez made a face. "And this is your evidence that she got promoted because of that?" "I'm just saying," Laurel shrugged. "People work for years and never get to be manager. She makes one mystery guy breakfast and suddenly she's in charge. I'm not judging. I'm just noticing." "Uh-huh," Inez replied, taking a sip. "That's what people say right before they judge." Unfortunately, the diner carried sound like a gossip amplifier. A busboy heard it. Then a customer heard it. Then Kiki heard it. By the time the lunch rush started, Rena felt it. The stares, the half-smiles, the quick glances between tables when she walked by. She couldn't quite hear the words, but she heard the tone, and it made her stomach twist. Around noon, a stranger walked in. They wore a simple blazer, jeans, and glasses, with a small notebook tucked under one arm. Not flashy, not loud, just observant. Their eyes moved slowly across the diner, taking in everything. Rena greeted them with her usual warmth, despite feeling unsettled inside. "Welcome to Harbor Grill," she said. "You can sit wherever you like." The stranger chose a booth near the back, where they could see the whole room without being obvious about it. They ordered a regular lunch, nothing fancy, grilled chicken, salad, coffee. But with each bite, they wrote something down. Milo caught Rena's eye. Either that person's writing a love letter to the chicken, or that's a critic. Rena blinked. A critic? Like, for a blog? A magazine? or the town website, or social media, Milo said, or all of the above. Rena's pulse spiked, paid the bills barely, handled stress, struggling, handled gossip, not well, handled possible mystery reviewer who could boost or tank business with one post. She silently screamed inside. Out loud, she smiled and said, "Cool. No pressure. Before we go on, what would you do if people started spreading rumors about you right when your hard work is finally paying off?" Now, back to the diner, where the real heat was coming from more than just the kitchen. Rena ducked into the tiny office in the back for a minute, just to reset her brain. She pressed her hands against the desk and breathed out slow. "You're fine. You can do this. You're not here by accident," she whispered to herself. From the doorway, a voice said softly, "You give motivational speeches in here often." She jumped. "Corvin, you can't just materialize like that." He smiled apologetically. Door was open. "Everything okay?" She hesitated. "Yeah, just busy day." His gaze softened. "Rena." He only said her name, but somehow it felt like, "You don't have to pretend with me." She exhaled. "People are talking. People always talk," he said calmly. "About us," she clarified. "About how I got this job." Something flickered in his eyes. "I figured it would happen eventually," he admitted. "Some people can't imagine that you earned it. That's the part that hurts," she said quietly. "I'm working harder now than I ever have, and I feel like at least half the room thinks I'm just the girl who got lucky with the boss." He stepped closer, not too close, just enough that she felt grounded. "Look at me," he said gently. "She did. You did earn it," he said. "Every late night, every double shift, how you treat customers, how you keep this place running. I see all of it, and honestly, I should be the one worried people think I don't deserve you." She blinked at him. "That's not how this works." "Maybe not," he replied. "But that's how I feel." She tried not to smile. Failed, just a little. Outside the office, someone coughed dramatically. Milo's voice carried through the half-open door. "Lovebirds, hate to interrupt your soap opera, but we've got an order jam and a possible food critic in the building." Rena and Corvin sprang apart like teenagers caught holding hands. "We're not," she started. "We're just," he added. Milo waved a hand. Sure, great. Can the not just anything people come save the kitchen now?" The lunch rush hit full force. The grill decided it was the perfect time to start making that I need a repair soon noise. One of the soda machines fizzed like a volcano. A big table ordered half the menu, all with no this, extra that, but only if you can do it gluten-free and crispy but not too crispy. And of course, the possible critic sat calmly in the back booth, watching it all unfold. At one point, Kiki rushed over with wide eyes. "Table 4 says their soup is salty," she whispered. Milo frowned. "Salty how? Just salty? Or did someone have a bad day when shaking the shaker?" Rena tasted a spoonful and nearly coughed. "Okay, yeah, that soup is staging a rebellion." "Impossible," Milo muttered. "I followed the recipe." "Maybe the salt just tripped and fell in," Kiki offered. Rena scanned the kitchen, and her gaze landed on something off. The salt container was nearer to the pot than usual. The lid wasn't fully on, and near the side door, someone was watching. Harlan, their old manager. He leaned against the doorframe of the back hallway, arms crossed, smirk painted on his face like he'd been born with it. "Didn't expect to see you here," Rena said, setting the spoon down. "Just came for lunch," he said. "Thought I'd see how my old place is doing now that the artist girl is in charge." Her jaw tightened. "We're doing fine. Are you?" he asked casually. "Word around town is you got very close with the new owner. Impressive career strategy." It stung. Exactly where he meant it to. Rena kept her voice steady. "I got promoted because I work hard, and we both know I was basically running this place, even when you had the title." Milo made a quiet oof sound behind her. Harlan shrugged. "Hey, whatever story helps you sleep." He turned to go, then called over his shoulder, "Oh, careful with that soup." Wouldn't want the critic in the corner to get a bad taste in their mouth about anything. Rena watched him leave, anger and anxiety battling inside her. She turned back to the kitchen. "All right," she said. "Dump the soup. We're not serving it." "That was a whole batch," Milo protested. "We'll do something else," she replied. "No one gets salty soup today, metaphorically or literally." Back in Willowbrook, Rena was about to prove exactly that. With the soup gone, Rena moved fast. "Okay, team." She clapped her hands. "New plan. We're switching the soup of the day to grilled veggie toast with herb spread. Milo, can you do that?" He shrugged. "If you can plate it nice and call it rustic, people will buy anything." Kiki raised a hand. "What do I tell table 4? "Tell them we decided to upgrade them," Rena said. "On the house. And if they like it, I want you to sell it like we meant to do this all along." Kiki grinned. "I can do that." Within minutes, plates with colorful toast and fresh toppings were going out. Customers started taking photos. Someone said, "Wow, did they add new items?" Another whispered, "This looks like something from a city cafe." The possible critic? They wrote even more in their notebook. At one point, the soda machine sputtered again, spraying a tiny fizz line onto the counter. Rena covered it quickly with a napkin and laughed to a nearby customer. "Congratulations. You've just witnessed our special effects department. We're still training it." The customer chuckled. "Adds personality." Slowly, the panic inside Rena settled. Chaos didn't mean failure. It just meant creativity was required, and that, she realized, was something she'd been practicing her whole life. As the rush slowed, Corvin joined Rena near the register. "I saw Harlan," he said quietly. "I saw you not punching him," she replied. "Very professional of you." He smiled faintly. Tempting as it was, I decided to let the food and the atmosphere speak louder than he ever could. Her shoulders sagged. "He said people are talking, like I'm only here because of you." Corvin tilted his head. "Do you believe that?" She shook her head. "No. But sometimes it feels like I have to work twice as hard to prove I deserve to be here. Like every little mistake will make people say, 'See, she was never qualified.'" He leaned a little closer, keeping his voice low. "Here's what I know," he said. "You just turned a ruined soup into a menu hit. You stopped a bad day from becoming a bad review. You take care of customers like their family. If people can't see that, that's their problem." She swallowed. "You really believe that?" "I believe in you," he said simply. "And I'm not the only one." As if on cue, Kiki walked by and said, "Boss, that new toast thing? We already got 3 people asking if it's permanent." "You might have accidentally invented our signature dish." Rena blinked. "I did?" Milo called from the kitchen. "You mess up one soup and suddenly you're the genius of the menu. I quit." He didn't mean it. They all knew it. The room laughed. Rena felt something loosen inside her chest. Maybe it was fear leaving. Maybe it was belief finally taking its place. Later in the afternoon, the possible critic finished their meal and walked up to the counter. "Excuse me," they said. "Are you the manager?" Rena's heart did a quick cartwheel. "Yes, I'm Rena. How was everything?" "It was memorable," they replied. "In a good way." They slid a business card across the counter. Rena glanced down. Local Food and Life, online magazine. Feature writer, T. Rowe. Her pulse spiked. "You write for the town magazine?" "And a few other sites," they added. "We've been looking for local spots that have more heart than hype. This place qualifies." Rena tried to form words. Failed. Tried again. "That's really good to hear," she managed. "We had a few mishaps today." "I noticed," T. Rowe replied calmly. "But I also noticed how you handled them. No panic. Just adjustments. Honesty, humor. That matters more than pretending everything is perfect." They glanced around the diner. "There's a story here," they said. "People who work hard, people who care. New ownership trying to rebuild something real. I'd like to feature Harbor Grill in an article." Rena's eyes widened. "Really?" "Yes," they replied. But I have one question for you. Okay, she said, bracing herself. Do you see yourself as just someone working here? They asked, or as someone who's building something bigger? Rena thought of her mother, her art studio dream, the gossip, the salty soup, the laughter, the way Corvin believed in her, even when she doubted herself. I think, she said slowly, I'm finally starting to see myself as someone building something bigger. T. Rose smiled. Good. That's the story people need to read. They nodded to Corvin on the way out. You chose the right manager, they said. I know, he replied. That evening, after closing, Corvin asked Rena to stay a little longer. I want to show you something, he said. If it's another broken appliance, I'm leaving, she replied. He laughed. No, this is better. He led her to a section of the diner near the windows where the light came in soft and warm. The corner was usually filled with random extra chairs and a plant that was half alive, half drama. Tonight, the clutter was gone. In its place were two simple shelves, a small bulletin board, a couple of empty frames, and a sign leaning against the wall, not yet hung. Rena picked it up and read it out loud. Harbor Art Corner, for kids, teens, and anyone who needs a little color in their day. Her voice trembled slightly. What is this? She asked. This, Corvin said quietly, is the first step toward your art studio. She turned to him, eyes wide. I can't open a whole studio yet, he continued. That takes time, planning, permits, all that fun stuff. But we can start small. Art afternoons once a week. Free drawing supplies for kids whose parents bring them here. Maybe weekend workshops later. He pointed to the empty frames. We can hang their drawings here. Make it a place people look forward to seeing. A place where life feels a little less heavy. Rena blinked back sudden tears. You did this for me? I did this for this diner, he said. For this town. And yes, for you. Because your dream matters. And I want you to see it isn't just some fantasy you tell yourself when you're tired. It's real. It's starting now. She stepped closer, heart full. I don't know whether to cry or hug you, she whispered. Why not both? He asked softly. She laughed, wiping her eyes, and then hugged him. Careful but full, like she was finally allowing herself to lean on someone. He held her just long enough for her to feel safe, then gently let go. When people talk about you, he said, I want them to say, she's the one who turned a little corner of a diner into a place where kids discovered they were artists. And if they say I only got here because of you, she asked, then they're half right, he replied. You did the work. I just made sure someone finally noticed. Corvin didn't try to keep Rena just as his manager. He made space for her dream to breathe. Later that week, the first Harbor Art afternoon took place. Kids sat at the new art corner with crayons, markers, and blank sheets of paper. Parents sipped coffee and watched their children's faces light up. Laughter mixed with the clink of dishes and the soft music in the background. One little girl excitedly ran up to Rena, holding a drawing of the diner with a big heart over it. This is your place, the girl said. I drew you here. Rena knelt down and smiled. It's our place, she replied. And this is going right up on that wall. As she pinned the drawing in one of the empty frames, Corvin watched. From a distance, hands in his pockets, a quiet smile on his face. Rena glanced back at him, and their eyes met. No words, just understanding. Two people who had been lonely in their own ways, now building something together. And for the first time in a long time, Rena didn't feel like the poor waitress or the girl who just got lucky. She felt like exactly who she was becoming. A woman who worked hard, loved deeply, and finally believed that her dreams had a place in the real world. Chapter 4. The diner had never been this full. Kids at the art corner drawing colorful masterpieces, families chatting over pancakes, a couple on a first date splitting a milkshake, a group of college students taking pictures of Milo's accidentally fancy veggie toast. The town magazine's article hadn't even dropped yet, but word of mouth alone was turning Harbor Grill into a local hotspot. And there, in the middle of it all, was Rina, clipboard in hand, hair neatly done, eyes focused, confident, and sparkling with renewed purpose. For the first time in years, she felt like her life was unfolding into something meaningful. But as always, when life feels too calm, trouble finds a way. While wiping a table, Rina overheard two customers whispering, "I heard the diner might close." "What? Why? It's finally getting good again. Apparently someone's buying the whole block." Rina stumbled, catching herself on the booth edge. Close? The diner? Now? No way. She approached them politely. "Hi, sorry, I didn't mean to overhear, but where did you hear that?" One shrugged. "Just rumor mill. Someone said a big developer is buying shops around town." Rina's stomach dropped. A developer buying out small businesses? That meant raised rents, or demolitions, or renovations that pushed out local owners. She forced a smile. "Thanks, enjoy your food." But her mind was spinning. If the diner was at risk, what would happen to her? To her mom? To the employees? To her plans? To Corvin? She hurried toward the kitchen and ran right into Corvin's chest. He steadied her. "Whoa, you okay?" "No," she said, voice shaky. Are we in trouble?" They slipped into the back office. The noise of the diner faded behind the closed door. "There's a rumor," Rina said, pacing. "People are saying a developer is buying out businesses on this block. Is that true?" Corvin's expression shifted. Not shock, not confusion. Concern. "Where did you hear that?" he asked. "Customers." But they seemed confident. She crossed her arms. "Corvin, you knew, didn't you?" He hesitated. Not a long hesitation, but long enough. "I found out yesterday," he admitted. "I wasn't sure how serious it was, so I didn't want to worry you until I knew more." Rina stepped back. Her heart dropped. "So your plan was, what? To figure it out alone? To protect me by keeping me uninformed?" Her voice cracked. "Corvin, this affects all of us. It affects me." "I know," he said softly. "I just wanted to be sure before I scared you. And you didn't think I deserved to know anyway?" she asked, hurt lacing her words. Corvin sighed. "Rina, that's not fair. And hiding things is—" She shot back. For a moment, silence, thick and painful. Corvin stepped closer. "I wasn't hiding it to keep you out. I was trying to protect you." "I don't need protecting," she whispered. "I need honesty." He searched her face. "Rina, you matter to me. I didn't want to drop worry on your shoulders when you've already been carrying so much. I'd rather carry the truth than be kept in the dark." He swallowed. Her eyes glistened, not tears, but frustration. He reached out a hand, then paused, unsure if she wanted him to. "Okay," he said slowly. "From now on, no secrets, even the scary stuff." She took a long breath. Her shoulders dropped slightly. "Okay," she echoed. Their eyes held onto each other, fragile, tender, working through the tension in real time. The air softened, almost, but Milo burst through the door. "Sorry to interrupt whatever emotional scene this is, but a child just drew me with 8 arms, and I need clarification." Corvin gave Rina a tiny apologetic smile. She chuckled, tension dissolving just a little. "Tell them it's accurate," she said. Milo nodded and left, muttering, "Finally someone sees my true form." After the argument that wasn't really an argument, Rina returned to the floor. She checked on tables, helped with orders, encouraged kids in the art corner, and forced herself to focus on the moment rather than fears about the future. But every so often, her eyes drifted toward Corvin, and every so often he looked back. There was care in that gaze, concern, regret, and something deeper she wasn't ready to define. In mid-afternoon, during a late rush, an older man entered the diner. He wore a sharp suit, polished shoes, and an expression like he owned whatever room he walked into. Rina greeted him professionally. "Welcome to Harbour Grill, table 4. "I'm here for business," he interrupted. Who's in charge? Her stomach tightened. I am, as acting manager. His eyes flicked over her, not rude, but dismissive. Tell your employer, he said, that our company is very interested in this lot. Very interested. Rena's blood turned cold. He slid a card across the counter. Holloway Development Group. A developer. The developer. The one everyone was whispering about. Things will be changing soon, he added. You all should prepare. Then he left. Just like that. No explanation. No contract. Nothing. Just a warning. Rena stared at the card as fear crept up her spine. She marched into the office. Corvin looked up from a stack of paperwork. Everything okay? No, she said, slapping the business card down. They came. A developer came. Here. Corvin's jaw tightened. Holloway. Yes, she said, exasperated. And he said we should prepare. Corvin rubbed his forehead. This is worse than I thought. So, what do we do? Rena asked. First, he said, we don't panic. I'm already panicking, she replied. That ship sailed 3 hours ago. He gave a soft laugh, the kind that tries to lighten the room. Second, he continued, we gather information. And third, we fight. Rena blinked. Fight? Against a developer? His eyes hardened with resolve. If they're trying to buy this block, they won't get Harbor Grill without a battle. Her heart softened. His protectiveness wasn't ownership. It was loyalty. And what about us? She asked quietly. Are we okay? Corvin stepped forward. I don't want to lose this place, he said. And I don't want to lose whatever this is between us. Her breath caught. He didn't touch her, but the closeness, the sincerity, the vulnerability in his voice. It made her eyes soften instantly. We're okay, she said. Milo rushed in wearing oven mitts and mild panic. Emergency, he shouted. The fryer just made a sound like it's ascending to another plane. The fryer let out a dramatic wire ping. Corvin sighed. On it. Rena followed him out of the office, laughing under her breath. See, she said, we don't need developers. The appliances are already trying to destroy us. That's comforting, Corvin deadpanned. After the rush ended and the diner slowed into evening calm, Rena sat beside the art corner, helping a little boy draw a robot. Corvin approached quietly, leaning against the nearby wall. You're good with kids, he said. So are you, she replied. I just give them crayons. You actually make them feel important. Rena looked down at the drawing. Kids deserve that. Corvin smiled warmly. So do you. She met his eyes. Soft, warm, gentle. Rena. He started, then paused. Can I ask you something? Sure. If this diner were to go through major changes, if things got complicated, would you still want to be part of shaping its future? He asked. She thought for a moment. Yes, she said softly. As long as I'm not doing it alone. You won't be, Corvin said. Not as long as you want me around. Her chest tightened in the best way. I do, she whispered. He held her gaze, and for a second, just a second, it felt like they were the only two people in the diner. But then, the fryer screamed again. Milo yelled, It's doing the death rattle. Somebody do something. Corvin groaned. Romance, 0. Fryer, 1. Rena laughed so hard she had to cover her face. That night, when Rena walked home, Corvin walked with her. Not behind her, not beside her, but with her, matching her step for step, as if silently saying, We're in this together. The moon cast a soft glow over the town as they walked. At her doorstep, she turned to him. I'm still scared about the diner, she admitted. So am I, he replied honestly. But being scared isn't the same as being alone. For a moment, they just looked at each other. Then Rena reached out and squeezed his hand. Good night, Corvin. Good night, Rena. He waited until she went inside, not because he didn't trust the town, but because he cared. Chapter 5. Rena sits alone in that booth, phone in hand, thumb hovering over a video. That's paused at her own face, frozen mid-blink, looking annoyed and tired. The title above the video reads, "Rude Manager at Small Town Diner. You won't believe this." Her heart sinks again just reading it. At the counter, Corvin wipes an invisible spot on the metal edge for the 10th time, pretending not to watch her. He finally gives up and walks over. "Corvin, softly, you don't have to watch it again, you know." Rena whispers, "It's about me. How can I not?" From the outside, it looks almost funny. The girl who once misjudged a broke tourist is now getting roasted online as some stuck-up manager. From the inside, it stings. Narrator to viewers. Imagine working your way from exhausted waitress to manager, only to have one bad moment recorded and posted for everyone to judge. What would you do? Because tonight, we're going to see how a 3-minute video nearly derails everything Rena has worked for, and how the lesson she once learned about judging others comes back to test her in a way she never expected. Now, let's rewind a bit. Scene, morning at Harbour Grill, bright sunlight pouring through the windows. The week started beautifully. The diner looked busier than ever. New chalkboard menu, fresh plants on the windowsill. The staff moved with a kind of happy rhythm that only comes when people actually like each other. Rena, now officially the manager, walked in wearing her faded denim jacket and a clipboard clutched to her chest. There was a new lightness in her step. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was building something. Kitchen cook, Malik, grinning, "Boss lady, you're early." Again, Rena laughs. "I'm not boss lady. I just nag people with better handwriting now." She moved around the diner, checking on everything: coffee pots, napkin dispensers, the big tip jar with the handwritten sign. "Tips make the coffee stronger." As she adjusted the sign, the bell on the door jingled. Corvin stepped in, backpack traded out for a more respectable leather satchel, though he still looked more like a friendly traveler than a millionaire owner. "Corvin, good morning, manager." Rena, mock serious, "Good morning, secret millionaire." They shared a small smile. Not over the top, not movie dramatic, just warm, comfortable. The kind of smile that says, "We've seen each other's worst days and we're still here." The good news. Later that morning, Rena checked her email behind the counter. Her eyes widened. "Rena, no way." It was a reply from the community center. They were interested in partnering with her for a kids' art workshop, using the diner's back room on slow afternoons. It wasn't a full studio yet, but it was a start. She pressed a hand over her chest, smiling without realizing it. Corvin, walking up. "Something good?" "Rena, they want to use the diner for art classes." Corvin, "That's amazing. So, manager by morning, art mentor by afternoon?" "Rena, don't say it like that. You're going to make me cry in front of the coffee machine." They both laughed. It was a good moment. The bad news. That same afternoon, her phone buzzed with another notification. It was from the clinic. Her mom's test results showed they needed a new treatment plan, more expensive, more frequent hospital visits. The kind of news that makes bank accounts sweat quietly in the background. Rena stepped into the storage room, closed the door, and just leaned her head against a shelf of ketchup bottles. Rena whispering to herself, "It's fine. We'll figure it out. We always do." She took a deep breath, straightened her name tag, and walked back out with a practiced smile. From that point on, she was carrying two things at once: the spark of hope for her art workshop, and the heavy weight of her mother's growing medical bills. And that combination is exactly what set the stage for what happened next. Scene, late lunch rush. The place is loud but cheerful. A woman in her late 20s walked in, camera bag slung across her shoulder, hair pulled back in a messy bun. She wore a hoodie that said, "Tessa Eats." She looked around with curious eyes, taking in every detail: the checkered floor, the retro stools, the blue and white awning outside casting shadows on the floor. This was Tessa, a small but growing food vlogger who had recently started doing hidden gems episodes in small towns. She slid into a booth, discreetly setting her phone on the table camera down. Rena, approaching with a smile, "Welcome to Harbour Grill. Have you been here before?" Tessa, pleasant, neutral, first time. Heard this place has a story. Rena smiles. Oh, we've got a few. As they spoke, Rena's phone buzzed in her apron pocket. Another text from the clinic about her mom's treatment schedule. Her stomach tightened, but she kept her face calm. Rena, can I start you off with coffee? Our cook will be offended if you say no. Tessa chuckles. Then I better say yes. So far, so good. If life were a smooth TV show, it would have stayed that way. Unfortunately, life is more like an unscripted live stream with spotty Wi-Fi. The trouble started with something small. The grill got backed up. Orders were delayed. A family at table 6 accidentally spilled a milkshake, and a kid at table 4 decided the sugar packets were confetti. By the time Rena made it back to Tessa's table with her burger and fries, she was 10 minutes later than she wanted to be. Tessa, checking the time. Oh, I thought my order got forgotten. Rena, a little sharper than she meant. We're swamped today. You're not the only customer here. The words came out. Wrong. It wasn't what she meant to say. She meant, I'm sorry. It's been a crazy day, and I'm trying my best. But stress has a way of translating emotion into the worst possible language. Tessa blinked, caught off guard. Tessa, I didn't mean to complain. I just have sort of a tight schedule. Rena, trying to fix it, but flustered. I get it. Look, if you need fast service, there's a drive-through down the road. We're more slow and cozy around here. She forced a strained smile and walked away before she could say anything else she'd regret. From Tessa's perspective, sitting alone, watching the manager walk off, it looked like she was being dismissed. From Rena's perspective, she was holding back the pressure of bills, her mom's health, the kitchen backlog, and the growing fear that she was failing at everything. 2 people, 2 realities, 1 moment, and unfortunately, 1 camera. Later that day, while the diner settled into late afternoon calm, Tessa sat in her car in the parking lot. She recorded a short, emotional video on her phone. Tessa, on camera. So, I tried this cute little diner in a town called Willowbrook. It seems cozy, but the manager made me feel like I was a burden just for asking about my order. I get that people are busy, but kindness is free, right? She didn't name the diner at first, but she showed little glimpses. The awning, the menu, the blue booths. It didn't take the internet long to connect the dots. She uploaded the clip under the title, Rude Manager at Small Town Diner. You won't believe this. She thought maybe a few hundred people would see it. By the next day, it had thousands of views and dozens of comments. Wow. Some people shouldn't work with customers. I live near there. Never going. Money changes people. Bet the manager thinks she's better than everyone. The irony. If they knew where Rena started, they'd realize she was everyone. Scene, next morning at the diner. Malik rushed into the kitchen holding his phone like it was on fire. Malik, Rena? Rena, checking invoices. If it's about the broken blender, I already... Malik, no, it's... You gotta see this. He showed her the video. Her stomach dropped. She watched her own blurry figure walk away from Tessa's table. Her face wasn't clear, but the comments were already saying, That's the manager, right? Someone said her name is Rena. She looks like she'd snap at you if you asked for extra napkins. Rena, quietly, Oh no. Corvin walked in halfway through, drying his hands with a towel. Corvin, what's going on? Malik, boss, we're kind of trending. But like, not the fun way. They watched the video together. No crazy edits. No dramatic music. Just a one-sided story. Corvin, carefully. It's not the whole truth. Rena, but it's not exactly a lie either. That's the thing about moments caught on camera. They capture what happened, not why it happened. That afternoon, Corvin closed the diner an hour early and gathered the staff. Corvin, okay, everyone. We saw the video. Let's talk about it before rumors do it for us. The staff sat in a half circle of mismatched chairs. Rena sat with her hands clenched together so tightly her knuckles were white. Server, Nora, Rena, I know you. You're not rude. Dishwasher, Eli, yeah. You apologize when the fries look tired. Who apologizes for tired fries? A tiny laugh rippled through the group. Even Rena smiled a little. Corvin, gentle, Rena, what happened from your perspective? She took a shaky breath. Rena, my mom's treatment got more expensive. I got the message during the rush. I was trying to answer questions, handle orders, and not cry into the coleslaw. When she asked about her food, I heard, "You're failing again." And I responded from that place, not from who I want to be. The room went quiet. Malik, softly, "We all have bad days. The difference is hers got recorded." Corvin, nodding, "Exactly. We're not going to pretend it didn't happen, but we're also not going to let one moment define who she is, or who we are as a diner." They discussed options: ignore it and hope it dies down, turn off comments and hide, or address it honestly. Corvin, "I can reach out to her privately as the owner." Rena, "No. If I messed up in public, I should apologize in public." Everyone looked at her. Rena, firm but nervous, "I don't want to be the person who judges others by one bad moment, or who refuses to admit when I'm wrong. I've already been that person once. That's how I treated you, remember?" She looked at Corvin, thinking back to the day she assumed he was just a broke backpacker scraping by. Poor Waitress belittles a broke. Rena, "I learned from that. I'm not going backwards." That evening, after the diner closed, Rena sat at the same booth where we saw her in the opening scene. She propped her phone up against the sugar dispenser, hands trembling slightly. Corvin, standing a few feet away, "You don't have to be perfect. Just be honest." Rena exhales, "Honest I can do. Perfect is above my pay grade." She hit record. Rena, on camera. "Hi, my name is Rena. I'm the manager at Harbor Grill. Yes, the diner from that video. I saw the clip, and that was me. I was tired, stressed, and scared about something happening in my personal life. But none of that is your fault. And none of that is an excuse to make someone feel like they don't matter. So, to the creator who visited, and to anyone who's ever felt brushed off or ignored in my diner, I'm sorry. This place was built to make people feel welcomed. That didn't happen that day, and that's on me. I'm learning. I'm trying. I hope you'll give us another chance." She paused, then added, "If you ever come back to Harbor Grill and feel like someone didn't treat you right, ask for me. I'll make it right. Even if it means drawing you an apology doodle on a napkin along with dessert." She smiled nervously at the end, a little crooked but real. She posted the video on the diner's new page and her own account. Then she did the hardest part. She put the phone down and waited. The internet can be cruel, but sometimes it's surprisingly kind. The first wave of comments was mixed. At least she apologized. "She seems genuine, to be honest. I've had bad days too. Respect." A few hours later, a notification popped up. "Tessa Eats mentioned you in a video." Rena's heart did a weird little cartwheel. She tapped it. Tessa had posted a follow-up. "Tessa, on camera. So, I made a video about a diner where I had a bad experience with the manager. Today, that manager posted a response. And honestly, I respect her for it. We talk about wanting people to be real online, but when they are, sometimes we're the first ones to attack. I don't know everything she's going through. What I do know is that it takes courage to say, 'I was wrong,' in front of strangers. So, I'm going back to Harbor Grill, and this time, I'm going to tell the full story." Rena's jaw actually dropped. "Rena? She's coming back." Corvin, smiling, "Looks like it." "You ready to handle round 2? Rena, emotionally, no. Professionally, also no. But we'll do it anyway. Scene a few days later, lunchtime. Camera equipment visible this time. Tessa walked in again, this time clearly filming a vlog. People turned to look, whispering. Rena walked over, steadying herself. "Rena, welcome back to Harbor Grill. I'm glad you came." Tessa smiles. "Thanks for having me." "Again," she ordered. The kitchen moved like a well-practiced orchestra. Malik even added a little flourish, sending out her burger with an extra side of their best fries for diplomacy. This time, Rena checked on her table with genuine warmth. Rena, how is everything? Tessa, really good. And on time. Rena laughed softly. I bribed the grill with flattery. They both smiled. On camera, Tessa said, Tessa, so this is the manager from that video. She owned up to what happened, and honestly, we've all had those days. I'm here now, and the service is great. The food is great. And the vibe? Even better, knowing they cared enough to make things right. At one point, the camera caught Corvin in the background, pretending to polish. The same piece of counter for the fourth time, clearly listening in. Tessa, off camera to Rena, is that your boss? Rena, trying not to blush, that's my partner. In business, Malik from the kitchen, stage whisper, and in heart. Rena, Malik, I will cut your dessert budget. Malik, you can't. I'm emotionally fragile. The whole diner laughed, even Tessa. It was light, human, real. Scene that night, the roof of the diner. The town below is sleepy and quiet. Rena and Corvin sit side by side on the edge of the flat roof, feet dangling, sharing a carton of fries like it's a five-star meal. The air is cool. The sky is clear. The glowing Harbour Grill sign hums softly behind them. Rena, remember when I thought you were a broke tourist trying to use the Wi-Fi? Corvin grins. You mean your most accurate first impression of me? Rena, you're a millionaire. Corvin, yeah, but emotionally, I'm still just a guy with a backpack. She laughs, nudging his shoulder gently. Rena, more serious. It feels weird, being on the other side of judgment now. I thought once I got promoted, things would magically get easier. But people just find new things to misunderstand. Corvin, people will always talk. First they assume you're not good enough, then they assume you think you're too good. The trick is deciding whose opinion gets a permanent seat in your life. Rena, and whose doesn't? Corvin, exactly. She leans her head lightly against his shoulder. It's soft, gentle, and safe. The kind of closeness that doesn't need to shout. Rena, thank you for letting me handle it, for not stepping in as the rich owner and fixing everything for me. Corvin, you didn't need rescuing. You just needed support. Rena, sometimes I don't know the difference. Corvin, you'll figure it out. But for the record, I'm here for both. They sit in comfortable silence for a moment. Rena, looking up at the stars. Maybe one day I'll tell the kids in my art workshop about this. How I messed up, apologized, and survived being dragged by the internet. Corvin, you should. They'll need to know it's okay to be human. Chapter 6. Rena stands outside Harbour Grill, locking the front door for the night. The neon sign flickers softly behind her, casting a blue glow across her face. Her phone buzzes. A message appears from an unknown number. We need to discuss the future of your building. Call me. Holloway Development Group. Rena stares at the message, thumb hovering over the screen. Behind her, Corvin approaches, hands in his pockets. Corvin. You okay? Rena quietly, not even a little. Hey, RustRoad family. Some promises are easy to make. The real test is keeping them when the pressure comes from every direction. Before we continue, RustRoad family, if you've ever felt overwhelmed by responsibilities, remember, storms pass, hearts grow stronger, and every step forward writes a better chapter for you. We've been there. The breakfast rush hasn't started yet. The place is quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerators and the rhythmic clinking of Malik sharpening his knives, for fun, not fear. Hopefully. Corvin sits at a booth with 2 cups of coffee. Rena slides in opposite him. Rena, what do they mean by discuss the future? It sounds like a threat. Corvin, it means they want to buy the lot, and they think we're going to roll over. Rena, well, we're not, right? Corvin, not without a fight. Rena sips her coffee, staring at the tabletop. Rena, how do you fight a company that buys entire city blocks? Corvin, with the one thing they don't have. Rena, money. Corvin smirks, no. A loyal community. Rena sighs. There are still people here who think I'm the reason the diner got popular. in the wrong way. Corvin reaches across the table, gently tapping her knuckles with his fingertips. Corvin, then we remind them who you really are. She blushes slightly but doesn't pull her hand away. The moment the diner opens, things feel off. A woman named Mrs. Pentley, a long-time customer known for bringing her knitting and unsolicited opinions, walks in with her usual group of grandmothers. But when Rena greets them, Mrs. Pentley barely nods. Later, as Rena refills their coffee, she overhears this. Mrs. Pentley, ever since she took over, prices went up. Friend, I heard they're planning big changes. Another friend, my daughter said that young manager was rude to a reviewer. Bet she'll ruin the place. Rena stiffens. Her hand trembles just enough for the coffee pot to slosh. Rena, softly, let me know if you need anything else. She walks away before her smile cracks. Malik catches the look on her face. Malik, ignore them. Rena, I can't ignore the entire town. Malik, you don't need the town. You need the right part of the town. She tries to smile at that. But it lingers, that awful feeling of being judged in your own home. Around midday, a teenage girl comes into the diner with her boyfriend. They sit near the door and whisper to each other, then glance at Rena. She knows that look. That's her look. As Rena approaches the table, the girl pulls out her phone, already recording. Teen girl, are you the manager from that viral video? Rena, forcing composure, I'm the manager, yes. How can I help you? Teen girl, snarky, just wondering if we should keep the cameras rolling, in case you go off on us too. A few customers turn to look. Heat rises up Rena's neck. Her throat tightens. Rena, I'm here to make sure you're taken care of. That's it. She walks away, jaw clenched, heartbeat loud in her ears. By the time she reaches the kitchen, she has to stop and grip the counter. Rena, whispering, I can't do this. I can't keep being the villain in everyone's head. Malik appears with a towel over his shoulder. Malik, you don't have to. Rena, feels like I do. Malik, come on. You're stronger than a teenager with a cell phone. Rena lets out a breathy laugh. Sometimes humor is the only glue holding her together. That afternoon, Corvin calls a staff meeting during a slow moment. Everyone gathers around. Rena, Malik, Kiki, Eli, a couple servers, and even Mrs. Pentley peeking because she accidentally didn't hear it was private. Corvin stands in front of them with a folder in hand. Corvin, we need to talk about Holloway Development. They want this property, but Harbour Grill isn't for sale. So we're going to do something risky. And very public. Rena frowns. Public. How? Corvin pulls out a sheet of paper, a simple flyer mock-up. Community Diner Day. Free kids art class, half-price breakfast, live music, local vendors. Let's celebrate Willowbrook. Rena, you want a block event? Corvin, I want the town to remember why Harbour Grill matters. Kiki, and free breakfast? Malik, and music? Eli, and vendors? Corvin, yes to all of it. Rena bites her lip. Rena, this could backfire. If nobody comes, Corvin, they'll come. Rena, how do you know? Corvin, because you'll be the reason they do. Everyone looks at her, not with doubt, but belief. It feels both terrifying and beautiful. After her shift, Rena heads home. She finds her mother, Elena, sitting by the window with a cup of tea, sketchbook open but untouched. Elena's hair has thinned a little. Her skin looks pale, but her smile is still warm enough to soften the hardest day. Elena, my pretty girl, how was the diner? Rena, softly, it was a long day. Elena, sit. Tell me. Rena sits beside her, head resting on her mother's shoulder like she's done since childhood. Rena, Mom, people keep judging me. I try so hard, and it feels like one mistake erased everything good I ever did. Elena smiles gently. Mija. When people only see one moment, it's because they're not brave enough to look deeper. Rena, it hurts. Elena, it means you care. Her mother reaches for her hand, squeezing lightly. Elena, you can't control their stories. You can only live yours. Rena's eyes fill with tears. Elena, and your story? It's just starting. They embrace, soft and slow. And for the first time all day, Rena lets herself cry, not from weakness, from release. Later that night, Corvin walks Rena home. The moon glows above the small town. Their shadows stretch long on the sidewalk. Rena's earlier tears have dried. Her eyes look softer, more open. Corvin, Rena, what you did today, how you handled that girl with the phone. Most people would have snapped. Rena, I wanted to. But snapping never fixed anything. Corvin, you're stronger than you think. She looks at him with gratitude and something tender beneath it. They stop at her doorstep. Rena, thank you for believing in me even when I don't. Corvin, that's easy, he says softly. You make it easy. The air thickens just slightly. Not dramatic, not overwhelming, just warm. A few inches between them. A heartbeat of silence. A closeness that feels inevitable. Corvin steps a tiny bit closer. Corvin, Rena, can I? Suddenly, a car drives by blasting loud music, startling them both. They laugh nervously. The moment pops like a bubble. Rena, maybe next time. Corvin, smiling, there will be a next time. She nods once and steps inside. But before the door closes, she murmurs, Rena, good night. Corvin, good night. Rena. The next morning, when Rena arrives at the diner, she notices something strange. A shiny black SUV is parked outside. 2 men in suits stand near the door, holding clipboards. A third man, the same one from Holloway Development, steps forward. Holloway rep, good morning. We're here for the property inspection. Rena's heart stops. Rena, inspection? We didn't schedule any inspection. Holloway rep, you didn't. We did. Corvin appears behind her. Corvin, this is private property. Holloway rep, not for long. He hands Corvin a folder. Inside is a legal notice. Harbour Grill is being flagged for a mandatory structural evaluation, supposedly due to safety concerns. This is how developers push people out. By making the building look unstable. By delaying operations. By creating costs owners can't cover. Rena's blood runs cold. Holloway rep, if the building fails inspection, we'll recommend demolition. You'll need to vacate. Malik pokes his head out of the kitchen window. Malik, why do those men look like they're here to repossess the grill? Rena doesn't answer. She can't. Because for the first time since becoming manager, she feels the future of the diner slipping out of her hands. Chapter 7. The episode opens with a close shot of a cracked tile on the diner floor. Dust falls into the crack. A man in a suit takes a photo with a sleek tablet. Cut wide. 2 inspectors walk through Harbour Grill with expressionless faces, poking, tapping, and testing every surface like they're searching for reasons to condemn the place. Rena watches from behind the counter, arms folded tightly, her jaw clenched. Corvin stands beside her, hands in pockets, eyes narrowed. Rena whispering, they're not here to inspect. They're here to find problems. Corvin, I know. One inspector kneels by the baseboards. Inspector, interesting. Rena, what's interesting? Inspector, nothing yet. He jots something down. Rena's chest tightens. Narrator, inspections are supposed to reveal the truth, but when people want a particular truth, they search until they find it. The diner tries to operate while the inspectors move through it like they own the place. Customers whisper. Servers move awkwardly around the suits. The usual warmth is replaced with anxiety. At table 4, Mrs. Pentley speaks in her, I pretend I'm whispering, but I'm actually shouting voice. Mrs. Pentley, well, if they're inspecting, clearly something's wrong. I always said managing a diner wasn't for everyone. Rena hears it. Every word lands like a pebble thrown at a bruise. Malik mutters from the kitchen. Malik, if she knits any tighter, she'll invent fire. Meanwhile, Kiki approaches Rena. Kiki, people are asking if the diner's closing. Rena, we're not closing. Kiki, but. Rena, Firmer. We're not closing. Her voice wavers at the end. At the back of the diner, Inspector 2 taps the wall panel with a metal rod. It makes a hollow sound. Inspector, this seems concerning. Rena, it's an old building. Of course things sound hollow. Inspector, we'll note it. He scribbles something. Rena steps closer. Rena, what exactly are you noting? Inspector, ma'am, we'll file a full report. Rena, that's not what I asked. Corvin gently touches her arm. Corvin, let me handle it. She pulls her arm away. Not harshly, but enough to show she's too stressed to be soothed. She walks to the kitchen, breathing shakily. Malik stands at the stove, cooking eggs with unnecessary aggression. Malik, you okay? Rena, no. Malik, that's fair. She leans against the counter. Rena, what if they close us? What will you do? What will Kiki do? What about my mom? What if this is all my fault? Malik, whoa. Malik, since when do you cause structural issues by serving pancakes? She cracks a small smile. Malik, look, whatever they're looking for, we'll face it. Together. You're not alone. Rena, I feel alone. Malik, that's because you forget we're here. She nods. A beat. Malik, also, Corvin's pacing so much he's going to wear a hole in the tile. That'll give them something real to find. Rena laughs despite herself, but her eyes look distant. By midday, the diner splits into two types of customers, those offering sympathy and those waiting to see the place fail. A construction worker at a booth says, "Construction worker, don't let the suit scare you. This place is solid. Been coming here for years." A few tables over, someone whispers, "If the place fails inspection, it's probably because of that new manager." Rena pretends she doesn't hear it, but Corvin does. He turns toward the table, but Rena gently steps between them. Rena, let it go. Corvin, I don't want them talking about you like that. Rena, people will talk. We can't silence every whisper. He studies her face. Corvin, since when do you stop fighting back? Rena, since fighting doesn't fix anything. She walks away before emotion can spill. Later, the lead inspector asks to see the electrical panel. Corvin leads him there. Rena stays nearby. She trusts no one at this point. The inspector examines the outdated wiring. Inspector, this hasn't been updated in at least 15 years. Corvin, the previous owner cut corners. Inspector, then why didn't you update it when you bought the place? Silence. Rena freezes. She turns to Corvin. Rena, wait. How long have you owned this diner? Corvin swallows. Corvin, a little over a year. Her face falls. Rena, you didn't buy it recently. Corvin, I didn't think it mattered. Rena, you told me you bought it because of the staff. Corvin, I did. But I was planning it long before I met you. Rena, so, the undercover tourist thing. Corvin was partly to see how the diner really ran. Before changing anything, Rena steps back as if the floor shifted. Rena, and you didn't tell me this because... Corvin, because I didn't want you to think I manipulated anything. Rena, but you did. The hurt on her face is unmistakable. Corvin, Rena, please. Rena, not now. She leaves the room. Rena steps out behind the diner, leaning against the brick wall. Her hands tremble. Rena to herself, he lied. Maybe not fully, but enough. Her phone buzzes. A text from the clinic. Your mother's next appointment is confirmed for Monday. Another wait. Another reminder she can't afford to crumble. She covers her mouth, holding in a sob. 8. A visit from someone unexpected. As she stands outside, wiping her face, she hears, "You okay?" It's the last person she expects. Mrs. Pentley. Rena stiffens. I'm fine. Mrs. Pentley, you look like someone carrying a load too heavy. Rena swallows. Rena, everyone keeps saying that. Mrs. Pentley. Maybe because it's true. She pauses, surprising Rena with a softer tone. Mrs. Pentley, my Harold, when he was alive, he used to take on everyone's problems, never asked for help. Nearly broke him. Rena, why are you telling me this? Mrs. Pentley, because I see the same thing in you. Rena looks away, tears quietly falling. Mrs. Pentley, the town may talk, dear, but most of them don't know your story. I don't either, but I know when someone is trying their best. Rena wipes her face. Rena, I wish my best was enough. Mrs. Pentley, oh, sweetheart, it is. You just need to believe it before anyone else does. She gently pats Rena's cheek and leaves. Rena stands there, stunned. Maybe the town wasn't entirely against her after all. By evening, the inspectors finish. They gather Corvin and Rena. Inspector 1, we're submitting our report within 48 hours. Inspector 2, there are several concerns, but nothing immediately hazardous. Inspector 1, however, further review may lead to mandatory repairs. Rena, meaning. Inspector, meaning. You'll hear from the city soon. They leave. Rena looks at Corvin with a mixture of fear and mistrust. Rena, you should have told me how long you owned this place. Corvin, I know. Rena, if we're partners, you have to trust me. With everything. Corvin, I do trust you. Rena, then why hide something so important? Corvin pauses. Corvin, voice breaking a little, because the last time I trusted someone with my business, I almost lost everything. Rena blinks. He's never sounded so vulnerable. Corvin, my last investment, the cafe I owned before this, I trusted the wrong manager. They stole money, lied, damaged everything. I thought, if I stayed quiet, no one could hurt this diner the same way. A long silence. Finally, Rena sighs. Rena, Corvin, I'm not that person. Corvin, I know. I just needed time to believe it. She softens, but not fully. Rena, we'll talk later. Right now, I need to think. That night, Rena sits at her kitchen table. Bills spread out. Medical appointments. A flyer for the upcoming Diner Day event. A picture of the kids' art corner at Harbour Grill. Her mother sits across from her, knitting a bright scarf. Elena, you're quiet tonight. Rena, just thinking. Elena, about the diner. Rena, about everything. Her mother places her hand over Rena's. Elena, your heart is strong, Miha, but even strong hearts need rest. Rena nods. Looks at the bills. Looks at the diner flyer. Looks at her mom. She realizes something. No matter what the inspection says, no matter what Holloway wants, and no matter what mistakes were made, she's not ready to give up. She picks up her phone, dials Corvin. He answers on the first ring. Corvin, Rena. Rena, we're not done. Corvin, with the diner. Rena, with each other. Or the fight, a beat of silence. Corvin, relieved. Okay, where do we start? Rena, with the truth. All of it. No more gaps. Corvin, I'm ready. Rena exhales. Rena, good, because we have 48 hours before that report comes back. And if they think we're just going to sit around and wait, they're wrong. Fade out on Rena's determined face. Chapter 8. The regulars at Harbour Grill swore they felt it before they saw it. Something in the air had changed. The coffee tasted the same, the pancakes were still a little lopsided, and the neon open sign still buzzed like it was complaining about its job. But the energy inside the diner? That was different now. Because the girl who used to rush past tables with her head down and her heart heavy was now the woman standing by the counter with a clipboard, a new badge, and a very nervous smile. Manager, it read. Rena still couldn't look at the little engraved letters without her stomach doing a full gymnastics routine. Her first official day as manager started with something extremely glamorous. Her alarm didn't go off. She woke up, saw the sunlight stabbing through her curtains and gasped, "No, no, no, no." She scrambled out of bed, brushed her teeth in 30 seconds, tugged on her usual uniform. And on her way out the door, she stopped, looked down at her shoes and groaned. They were the same old worn-out sneakers with a tiny hole near the ankle. "Manager shoes, huh?" she muttered. Fake it till you make it. She grabbed her bag and jogged down the street anyway. Hair pulled into a quick ponytail, heart pounding with both panic and excitement. When she pushed through the diner doors, slightly out of breath, Corvin was already there, leaning against the counter, talking to one of the cooks. He looked up the second he heard the bells jingle. The way he smiled at her. That alone could have made the coffee taste better. "You're right on time," he said. "I'm 10 minutes late," she replied, cheeks flushed. He checked his watch theatrically. "Diner time. We work on feelings, not minutes." She laughed, rolling her eyes. "That's not how schedules work, boss." "Guess that's why I promoted you," he replied. And just like that, some of her nerves melted. They spent the next hour in a training session in the back booth. In reality, Corvin had a neat folder labeled Manager Guidelines, but half of what he said showed up on sticky notes and napkins. "Okay," he said, flipping a page. "Number 1, you handle staff scheduling. I want you to make sure no one gets overworked like you used to be." "Got it." She nodded, scribbling notes. "Rotate weekends, no back-to-back doubles unless absolutely necessary." "Good," he said. "Number 2, I'll handle the big financial stuff, but if you ever see something that feels unfair, wages, hours, treatment, I want you to bring it to me." "That alone is already a major upgrade," she muttered. "What was that?" "Nothing," she said quickly, but they both knew she meant Harlan. As if summoned by the ghost of bad management, the old manager walked in. Not storming, not shouting this time, just quiet, carrying a box of his things. He had agreed to step down and stay on as a part-time shift supervisor under Rena. Seeing him now, less puffed up, less angry, he almost looked human. "Morning," he grumbled. "Morning," she replied, unsure what tone to use. He glanced at her badge and then at Corvin. "So, big boss," Harlan said, scratching his neck. "Where do you want me today?" Corvin looked at Rena. "You're the manager," he said. "Where do you want him?" She froze for half a beat. This was a test, not a trap. A test. Rena straightened her shoulders. "Dining room," she said. "Table checks. Help the newer servers, and no yelling at anyone before noon." Harlan snorted. "You're putting rules on my attitude now?" "Yes," she replied, a little shakily but firmly. "We're trying something radical. It's called being respectful." There was a beat of silence. Then, unexpectedly, Harlan laughed. Just once. Short and rough. "Fine," he said. "But if a customer snaps their fingers at me, I'm reserving the right to raise one eyebrow." "That's allowed," she said. "One eyebrow, no extra charge." He shook his head and walked away, and Corvin leaned in, whispering, "You handled that perfectly." She exhaled. I was absolutely not prepared to manage his eyebrows. Around lunchtime, the diner was packed. Families, truckers, regulars, and one table that no server was excited about, a woman with sunglasses. Perched on her head like a crown, tapping her nails on the table, sighing loudly every 10 seconds. She had what the staff whispered about as Karen energy. "Rena, can you take that one?" One of the younger servers begged. "She already told me the water tastes like it has feelings." Rena smiled sympathetically. "I got it," she said. "Go help with booth 5. She approached the woman with her best professional smile. "Hi there, welcome to Harbor Grill. What can I get you today?" The woman didn't look up from her phone. "Well," she said, "for starters, your menu photos look nothing like these plates I see going past me." Rena blinked. "Oh, we've updated the menu but not the photos yet. We're working on that." The woman replied, unimpressed. "Well, I want my burger to look like that one in the picture. Perfect bun, no burnt edges, cheese exactly centered." I run a review page. In the back, Corvin was watching nervously. This was one of those moments that could destroy a young manager's day. Rena inhaled. "All right," she said kindly. "We'll do our very best. But just so you know, sometimes the cheese moves around because it's excited to be here." She said it with the straightest possible face. The woman actually paused, then snorted. Just a tiny sound. I'll be checking for cheese enthusiasm, she said dryly. Rena smiled. Medium or well done. By the time the food arrived, it wasn't perfect, but it was good. The bun was slightly tilted. The fries looked a little too happy to stay on their side of the plate. But the flavor? Solid. The woman took a bite. Her eyes widened just a little. Well, she said, taking off her sunglasses entirely now. I've had worse in the city. Rena grinned. I'll take that as a compliment. The woman left a review online that evening. Service, surprisingly human. Manager, doesn't break under pressure. Burger, accente. Cheese had personality. Not bad for a Monday. Over the next few days, the diner slowly transformed. Not in a flashy, before and after show kind of way, but in little realistic steps. The staff schedule got rearranged so nobody had to drag themselves through 4 closing shifts in a row. Corvin approved small raises where they were long overdue. The grimy staff-only door got a fresh coat of paint that wasn't the color of sadness. A jar appeared on the counter labeled Dreams and Emergencies Fund, for staff only. Corvin quietly matched whatever the staff put in. And then there was Rena's corner. That was Corvin's idea. Or at least, that's what he told everyone. In reality, it started when he caught her absent-mindedly doodling little flowers and city skylines in the margins of her schedule printouts. You know those are almost too good to throw away, right? He asked. They're just scribbles, she shrugged. A week later, he called a staff meeting. From now on, he announced, this wall, he pointed at a plain section near the window, belongs to our new manager. It's going to be our art wall. She froze. Our what? We're going to invite kids, teens, even adults if they're brave, to draw or paint something. And you, he said, looking at her, are going to guide it. Corvin, that's a lot, she stammered. I don't even have real supplies. Just a pencil and a schedule with feelings. We'll start small, he said. Paper, crayons, a few frames. Nothing crazy. Just make this place look like a diner where dreams are allowed to exist between the pancakes and the coffee. She swallowed hard. This wasn't her art studio. But maybe it was step 1. The first art Sunday rolled in quietly. They put a handwritten sign on the door. Sunday, free crayons for kids. Draw your favorite memory. A little risky. A little corny. Very them. At first, nobody asked. People came in, ordered their usual plates, stared at the sign, and went back to their eggs. Then, a little boy in a superhero t-shirt tugged on his mom's sleeve. Can I draw? He asked. Rena's heart did a full cartwheel. Of course, she said, setting up a little space near the window with paper and crayons. You can draw anything you like. Favorite memory, favorite food, favorite pet. He nodded seriously and started drawing a lopsided dog with laser eyes. When he finished, he proudly held it up. What's this? Rena asked. That's my dog, Pepper, he said. He's gone now. But he was a superhero. Her heart softened. Can we hang him up on the wall, so he can watch over the diner? The boy beamed. Yes. She carefully taped the drawing to the wall, right in the center. By the end of the day, the wall had a crooked rainbow, a house with a giant sun that took up half the sky, a stick-figure family standing next to what might have been a dinosaur or a large chicken, and Pepper, the superhero dog, guarding them all. It wasn't a professional gallery. It didn't have perfect lighting or fancy frames. But when Rena stood back and looked at it, she saw something she hadn't felt in a long time. A beginning. That night, after the last table left and the lights were dimmed, Corvin and Rena stood in front of the art wall together. The jukebox hummed softly in the background, playing a mellow old tune no one remembered requesting. You did this, he said quietly. She shook her head. We did this. No, he insisted. You're the one who turned this into more than a place people eat at when they're tired. You made it somewhere they're allowed to feel safe. She looked at him, eyes shining just a little. You gave me the chance, she said. What good is a chance, he replied gently, if someone doesn't have the courage to use it? For a moment, they just stood there, not talking, not rushing, just breathing in the calm. He moved a little closer, not too close, leaving space, always leaving space, for her comfort. "You know," he said with a small smile, "I still remember the first thing you said to me." She groaned. "Please don't. As long as you can actually pay for it," he quoted softly. She covered her face with her hands. "I'm never living that down, am I?" "Not a chance," he grinned. "It's part of our origin story now." She peeked at him between her fingers, laughing. "Fine," she said. "But if you ever tell anyone I almost cried hanging up a superhero dog drawing, I'm firing you from your own diner." "Noted," he said. The owner will have to accept the manager's rules. There was a lightness between them now, soft, warm, threaded through, with something more than friendship, but still wrapped in respect. He reached out, very gently, and brushed a loose strand of hair away from her face. It was a small gesture, simple, caring, nothing more. But her heart understood it, and she didn't step away. That week, Harbour Grill didn't suddenly become famous. There were no viral videos, no news crews, no dramatic look at this magical diner headlines. But something better happened. A regular who never tipped more than $1 left 5 with a note, "For the art wall. My kid hasn't smiled like that in weeks." A teenage girl who usually sat alone at the counter asked if she could bring her sketchbook next Sunday. The staff started joking more, snapping damp towels at each other and then apologizing, laughing, and getting back to work without fear of being yelled at. And Rena? She fell asleep each night, a little less tired and a little more hopeful. She still had bills. Her mom was still sick. Life hadn't magically transformed into a movie, but for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel like she was just surviving. She felt like she was building something. Something with meaning, something with him. Sometimes, life doesn't announce its turning points with fireworks. Sometimes, it walks into our lives quietly, wearing dusty shoes, carrying a tired smile, and sitting in a corner booth we almost ignore. Over the past 8 chapters, we've watched how small assumptions can lead to big misunderstandings, and how ordinary days can quietly become life-changing moments. This story wasn't just about a waitress and a tourist. It was about us. About the moments when we judge too quickly because life has worn us down. About the times we underestimate others. And even ourselves. Rena didn't wake up planning to belittle anyone. She woke up exhausted, burdened, carrying responsibilities heavier than her paycheck. And that's real. Many of you watching know exactly what that feels like. Showing up every day, doing your best, while the world keeps demanding more. And Corvin? He reminds us that not everyone powerful looks powerful. Some of the most influential people in your life will arrive quietly. No spotlight, no announcement, just presence, patience, and purpose. One of the most important lessons so far is this: kindness matters most when it's hardest to give. Because how you treat people on your worst days reveals your true character. We also learned that humor can survive even in hard seasons. A shared laugh, an awkward moment, a small joke in the middle of stress. Those are not distractions. They're lifelines. They remind us that joy doesn't wait for life to be perfect. Another powerful truth from these chapters is that opportunity often hides behind humility. Rena's growth didn't come from pretending she had it all together. It came from being honest, imperfect, and open to learning. And when someone finally believed in her, she slowly began to believe in herself. And maybe that's the biggest lesson for all of us watching. Your breakthrough might come disguised as an ordinary conversation. Your next chapter might begin on your most frustrating day. And your value has never been determined by your current position. If this story has made you laugh, reflect, or feel seen, even a little, that means you're exactly where you're meant to be. And if you're still here, it means you're the kind of person who believes. Stories can heal, inspire, and remind us that better days are possible. So stay with us for part 2. More twists are coming, more growth, more heart. And if this journey feels familiar, then trust me, the best parts are still ahead.